Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Val Kleinhands. Very excited to have some more metal on this podcast. Heavy metal act Vanitas are here. I'm thrilled. Really, Jade, I'm thrilled. The outfits, everything. It's so nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you too, Val. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. Now, so you weren't always Vanitas. You were verb the noun at one
Yeah.
point. Which is hysterical. I get the joke. Would you ever go back to using that name though? Because I do have a heart for it.
Probably not. I mean, to be honest, Verb the Noun was we first started out, we all met at uni when we started the band. And so we decided to rebrand as Vanitas as our sound changed quite a lot as well. And we
Mhm.
we kind of matured a lot. And don't get me wrong, I still love the joke name Verb the Noun. And we did like to kind of add a bit of humor into what we do. We still do. But ultimately, the music was serious. So we kind of came up against this a few times where people would go, "Oh, Verb the Noun, so you're a comedy band." And we'd be like, "No. So why have you got a joke name then?" Because we were 18 when we picked it and thought it was funny. So we kind of decided to rebrand as Vanitas. And yeah, I think we're pretty firmly in that camp now. But I do look back on those Verb the Noun days fondly now.
Vanitas is, it's a great name too. If you ever did secret shows, that's the name you use though, verb the noun.
Oh
Like
yeah,
if you were ever
totally.
doing secret shows, that would be the one to use. So clearly, I get it. You're maturing, you're older, you want the music taken seriously. I get the name change. I totally understand that. What do you think it takes to be taken seriously in music today? Because it can feel like the Wild West
Ah,
sometimes, the
it,
industry.
it totally is the Wild West, and it's such a weird question of like, oh, what do you need to do to be taken seriously? Because so much of being a musician in 2024 is just making stupid online videos, and it's kind of
Mm.
like, yes, take me seriously as I stand there in my like ridiculous video game cosplay level outfit making TikToks. It's kind of it's such a weird thing, the music industry. And I guess all I'll try and do is my best at any one time. And, I do my research, I put the effort in. I try and make music, content, and videos with the boys that I feel proud of. And ultimately, if it resonates with other people, that's a massive bonus. And that's just kind of how I try and approach it, really.
And talking about gaming. I knew of Vanitas from Kingdom Hearts. What other games are we playing lately? Just out of
Uh,
curiosity.
See, I'm a bit different from the rest of the boys. So as a collective, we all like our JRPGs. We like Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, that
Mhm.
sort of thing. The boys are a lot more into their like Elden Ring, Dark Souls.
Oh,
I
they're obsessed. Yes, I have a husband
Yeah,
obsessed with Elden
for
Ring right
sure.
now. Yeah.
I really like those games, but I'm really bad at them. I'm a lot more of a cozy gamer, like Sims, Animal Crossing,
Yeah,
that
me
sort
too.
of vibe. So yeah, a big mix really. I mean, the one thing that rings true is we're all a bunch of big nerds. So
Nerddom is like a cornerstone of metal, I would argue.
yeah.
Because I don't know a single metalhead that doesn't have an element of nerd to them, whether it's like Dungeons and Dragons or video games, or they're really into history. There's a few history nerds. They probably like Iron Maiden if they're a history
Oh yeah.
nerd.
Yeah.
That's that sort of thing. I love it. So when you were developing Vanitas, I was curious as to what was the thought process behind the aesthetic, the design? Because I watched the EP documentary.
Oh,
There was a lot
thanks.
of thoughts. There was a lot of thoughts I can see among all of you about what to do and how to do it. Walk me through that really quickly. And how do you do that in such a cohesive manner? Because all of you got along.
Yeah, I mean, phew, hard stuff, bands getting along, but I don't know. I feel like obviously we had a few lineup changes, but we're definitely very settled, very confident, comfortable now. I personally think, and yeah, I guess with Vanitas, the reason we rebranded has started back in 2022. It's been almost 3 years now, crazy.
Yeah.
And we had this kind of core element of we wanted to make kind of gent progressive metalcore, but we wanted to add big epic orchestra to it, inspired by like our favorite video games, our favorite movie soundtracks, and we wanted everything we did to feel like this big emotional epic thing. More is more. We like our over the top composition. So that was really the inspiration musically, and we all have a diverse range of influences in the band. I mean, we all
Hmm.
have our top favorites that overlap quite a lot. So we're all massive Periphery fan boys and girls. We love like
Right.
Spirit Box, Monuments, that sort of thing. Dream Theater, Devin Townsend. But then amongst all of us, there's a lot of different influences too. So I used to do musical theater. I also grew up on a lot of like classic rock as well. I'm into like a lot of metalcore. You've got Jackson, the drummer, who was originally like more of a hip hop reggae guy and then just completely
Nice.
180'd into metal. And he likes all sorts of stuff. He's into like a lot of the heavier, more deathcore things. And then you've got Mitch and John that are very prog guys through and through. Elijah is a proggy guy, but he really likes his instrumental proggy, like
Mhm.
Polyphia, that sort of thing, which I'm into too. So really,
Yes.
when you kind of marry them all together, they still weirdly all work together, but it creates a Vanitas sound. And then I'd say visually, it took us a while to settle into our visuals, but I think we really have now in that we are the purple band, and that's kind of, I mean, I'm not wearing purple today, but that's kind of the hill we've decided to die on is we are the purple band. And I mean, for the rest of the boys, the rule is sort of just wear something purple and you're good. As the
Yeah.
lead singer, I have the sort of liberty to play around a bit more, I guess. And I guess the only woman in the band, and I like to dress quite flamboyantly, as you
Period.
probably noticed.
I know. I was like, listen, let's go. I get it. We're girlies. We like to play. It
I
happens.
like dressing up. If I have an excuse to wear a cool outfit, I will totally do it. I like doing my makeup. It's something I find fun, and I think for me, my goal is to always look like that badass supervillain or that like badass video game character. Like that is
Yes.
the vision for me personally, and like still with the typical metal elements, your chains, your belts, all that stuff.
Right. You want to be the final boss and be like, no,
Yeah,
all
I
y'all
want to be
bitches
the
have to
boss
come to
battle.
me.
We
Right.
make boss battle music, and I am the boss battle. That is the, I guess that's the vision. That's what I try and do.
Period. So I did hear a lot of prog influences. I mean, just as you were listing them, I think Opeth, when I was watching the documentary, was also listed as well. Super,
Yeah.
super, super stoked. Is that a release that we're watching this year? Because I'm anticipating it, the new Opeth album, soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I do like Opeth, but Opeth is more the guitarist. Mitch is obsessed, so he's
Mitch
keeping
is obsessed.
a
Okay.
close eye on that. But honestly, we've kind of all melted into one person through being in this band, and we all like each other's influences now. So yeah, I'll totally be listening out for it as well.
Nice. Would you classify yourselves as a prog band? Because I hear a little bit of variety too.
Mm. Well, I guess that is the beauty with being a prog band is that you can kind of get away with a bit more because the idea is that it's experimental to a point. So I'd say like if you was to give us a basic label, yes, progressive metal is what I'd put it. You may have noticed I tend to put cinematic gent in all our social
Mm,
media. That's
mhm.
just kind of a catchy little tagline that I guess loads of bands out there are saying they're prog metal bands, right? But I like to say cinematic gent because it kind of gives you a bit of a flavor of what we like to do. We have like the low tune, genty riffs and breakdowns, but we have the epic cinematic part, the orchestra.
Yes.
And I think without those two elements together, it's not really Vanitas. It needs both. So as much as yes, we are a prog metal band, our nice little tagline is a cinematic gent, just to give people a quick flavor, really. But
I,
yeah,
oh,
I'm happy with that myself.
would it be a dream for Vanitas to play with like the London Philharmonic or something like that? I,
Yes, like bucket
yes.
list is to play with a live orchestra or even just like a string quartet, just some form of orchestral instruments on stage with us. Like I have daydreams constantly about playing my favorite festivals and having a string quartet with us and like a backing vocalist or some choirs and then like we have dancers and I would if I had the budget and the opportunity, I would
Yes.
yeah, I would go ham. I like our live shows to be not just oh we're playing our songs. I like it to be a show, and I think we try and work hard to do that where budget and time allows. So we over the summer we upgraded and got a lights show going.
Wow.
And when we perform live, we use like a Reaper backing track for everything we do. So we all have in ears and play to like clicks.
Mhm.
But then we have transitions that play to the audience between every song. I've sort of planned out little audience moments that I do. And Mitch is the kind of tech guy of the band, and he sat down and actually programmed our whole light show in time with our whole set. So
Wow.
like the lights flash in time with the guitar stabs, and it's really cool. And I've yeah, very much a worthwhile purchase. And once if we get more money, like we will just keep expanding that as much as we can.
Yeah, y'all are doing it on a budget and doing it well too. Like you're making the most of your skill sets, which I understand you have to do when you're on a budget. Like
Yeah.
people don't realize that, I think. They just see the glamour, they see the reels after the fact, they see the video clips of this fun show after the fact, and they don't realize, oh, we had to do this on a budget, or oh, we had to do X, Y, and Z to make this happen. Sometimes
Mhm.
that even includes going on a cold day to some haunted woods, like Canna
Okay.
Chase. Like sometimes that includes that. That was one of my favorite parts of the EV documentary too, because I am a paranormal nerd and I know that Canna Chase is one of the most haunted places in the
It's so
world.
cold.
It was so cold that day. Everybody said it was cold. I felt bad for you guys. I could see you shivering, but you took one for the team while you got that first photo shoot done. Did anything spooky happen though? I have to ask.
Spookiest thing was just John and Mark messing around during the photo shoot, to be honest. But
Yeah,
it was a really fun time. And I think the photographer that did that shoot, because that was our first ever shoot we did back in
right.
December before the band officially launched. And the photographer Daniel, we've worked with them for many years now, and it was actually really wholesome because we kind of they were busy with their own personal stuff, so we didn't work with them for a little bit. And they came back and did our most recent promo shoot for our new music video, and it was just so it felt like a full circle moment. It was so nice to like have
Oh,
them back again, and they was like, "Oh, you've grown so much." We were like, "You've grown so much," and we had like a nice little wholesome afternoon together, and yeah, it was
oh,
really lovely. And I think with what you're saying with bands powering through and being on budget, I mean, that's what we're all here for. Being a band
helping
is
each
very,
other
very
out.
cool. Yeah, like
Right.
helping each other out, and we'll just do what we can. I mean, like we we'll we don't have the most budget as a band, but we literally pour everything we do. We're quite a young band as well, so we are very, very lucky to have the help of some family and friends that kind of taxi us to gigs. Like none of us up until this week, I've just passed my driving test. Up until this week, none of
Yay!
us drove.
Oh my
Like
God, that's hilarious. So was
being in
that
a
scary
band, yeah,
taking
like
your test?
oh, it was so scary. And I'm not an anxious person naturally, but I'm very anxious in my driving lessons for some reason. I don't know
I got
why.
it.
But yeah, so I was super anxious. I was convinced I'd failed. And I
Oh,
no, I didn't. I passed. I was kind of waiting there thinking he's gonna tell me I failed. And then the driving instructor was like, "Well done, you've passed. Here's your," and I'm like, "Oh, okay,
there
amazing."
we go.
So I mean, we've been surviving thus far. We did our debut tour in September, like our first ever little mini UK tour. And
Mhm.
honestly, the only thing that got us around the UK was our friends taxiing us and our like
Oh, thank
dads and
God.
stuff. So it's like now, next tour.
You're
I can
driving.
drive us. I can drive us, which is
Oh
a bit
man.
scary, but good. Good progress to make.
See, I'm confident in my own driving skills, but I'm not confident in the driving skills of others. That's where the anxiety comes in. I'm like,
Yes,
when am I going to
totally.
encounter that asshole that's driving the wrong way or
Yeah.
that needs to cut me off for whatever reason? I'm like, I'm always anticipating that. That to me is the most anxious part of driving.
Yeah, I'm the same, especially like obviously when I had my learner plates on, everyone would like beep at me and I'm
Oh,
trying
yeah.
my best and I'm just hiding behind the steering wheel. Yeah, no, I totally get that. It's something, it's a learning curve I will overcome for the sake of the band and traveling to cool gigs. It will be worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be worth it. So, and I mean, I read this too, and you just mentioned it a little bit. You haven't been a band that long. You've had a relatively like short tenure already. What have
Mm,
you learned in that short amount of time as a band?
so
About
much.
like maybe you made some initial mistakes that you learned from, or like what would you tell other up and coming bands?
I would say it's so interesting because I don't think no matter how much you grow as a band, you will always find yourself in a room with people better than you, doing bigger things. And I think that's actually the place to be. And that's a
Mhm.
good thing because you're going to learn and grow. You never want to stagnate or pretend like, oh, I'm the biggest band in my local scene. At the end of the day, nobody cares. And you want to support each other and uplift each other because genuinely, if there's opportunities for other bands and you congratulate them and say, "Oh, well done, that's amazing." That opportunity is going to help other bands in that niche, in that area as well. So there's enough room for everybody, I would say, would be my advice. And on top of that, I just feel like trial and error everything. Don't be embarrassed. Don't, everyone's new,
That's it.
everyone's got to try. My day job is I'm actually a teacher at a music college, so I actually do spend a lot of time with new young
Oh,
bands, and I absolutely love helping them, and just kind of watching them make their first song, and it's so exciting. And so my what I always say to them is just keep trying, really keep trying, put lots and lots of effort in because the bar is so high in 2024. Everyone's got free access to DAWs, free access to video editing software, anything,
right.
social media. You don't need a big record label or a big PR company anymore if you've got all of these tools. And
Or a
you
big
so
budget. You
or
can
a big
do a
budget.
lot with very
You can
little today.
do you can do so much. And so the benefit of that is it's accessible to everybody. If you have a dream and you want to start a band, you can do it. But the downside of it is that means that what becomes popular is already of such a high standard that you've got a lot to compete with too. But
Mm,
just see it as a opportunity to learn rather than a scary thing, I'd say. And it's actually a pretty relevant as our new song Wait and See is kind of about that feeling of the anxiety of, oh my God, I just did this thing. Now I've got to do it again and try and one up my last release. I've got to wait and see what happens. That's so scary. But it's also about that feeling actually being a good thing and being exciting and oh my God, who knows what's going to happen. So it sort of touches on both ends of that spectrum.
right.
Um,
And getting out of your own head when the comparison game starts to play. Oh my
Girlie.
God. I think any creative is notorious for having that element in their
Oh
mind
yeah,
at all
we're all
times.
guilty of it. All
Yeah.
guilty of it.
So that's cool to hear that you're a teacher because you've been teaching and vocals is your instrument of choice for anybody that doesn't know already.
That's
Is
me.
it fun? Yeah. I mean, is it fun to stay in that environment? And are you constantly working on your own craft because you're still involved in teaching?
Yeah, I'd say like that's why I do gravitate towards it, I guess, because it allows me to learn and grow myself whilst trying to pass on. I'm not saying I'm the best teacher in the world, but I can at least pass on what knowledge I do have to other people and help as much as I can. My main thing I teach is I teach vocals to people as well. And there's so much I learn just through teaching others, and I'm still practicing myself at home. I'm still learning,
Okay.
like for example, the harsh vocals, the screams. I'm still relatively, well, yeah, I'm quite new to that still. And I'm still learning new techniques with that and how it works every single day. And that's been such a fun journey to go on as well.
Right. Don't get it twisted though. You can still do it. I've heard.
Thank
Like
you.
you can still do it. What did you take lessons when you were younger or did vocals just happen to be something you fell into?
Well, this is something I'm actually quite open about, is that I am not a naturally good singer at all. At all. I would say I've always been doing like singing adjacent things. Like I was in my school choir when I was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
primary school and all of this sort of stuff, and like little after school clubs or karaoke with my mates or whatever.
Oh,
But
that's
what
the
I'd say
best.
is I never took it seriously, or I just kind of did it for fun until I'd say like the age of 13, 14, and then my school kind of offered, they said if you're taking GCSE music, then you get a free singing lesson. So I did have some singing lessons then, because they were provided by my school. But ultimately, I was mostly self-taught, mostly just through trial and error, watching YouTube. And then I did have some singing lessons. I joined like an after-school little band club, and that was my first experience of working in a band and just kind of I used to just shut myself away in my school practice room until the cleaners would knock on the door and be like, Jade, go home.
Go.
And just sing every
Yeah.
day. And I used to, especially when I was at like sixth form, age 16, 17, I would just that's all I would do. And yeah, I used to be super pitchy. I used to have like no strength to my voice. I was super, super anxious. The first couple of like concerts I did at my school, I was like borderline weeing myself before going on stage. And so that's something I do like because I see so many vocal teachers that maybe kind of grew up in a very musical family. Maybe they had lessons from the age of five.
Mm,
And they're very much like, there's nothing wrong with that, but they're very much set up for that role. I
yes.
very much come from the opposite of no one in my family is musical. Barely anyone in my family really likes metal as well. Um,
Oh.
So being a singer in a non-musical family, you kind of just get the response of, "Oh, you're not going to go on X Factor then." That's the standard.
I
That's
love
the
that
kind of
British
standard.
humor. Listen,
Yeah.
if you want somebody to tell you how it is, talk to a British person. Like that's what I've learned. They'll do it.
Totally. Totally. But like my family is still so lovely and supportive, even if they
Right.
don't understand all of it. And I do appreciate them for that. So yeah, I've really come on a journey myself of just learning to improve and get better. And that's something I strive myself on. I don't think anything's a natural talent. I think it's a skill. And if you sit and learn, you will get better. It's the same with anything, with
Yeah.
marketing as a band, with promotion, with your live shows, with your sound, with your look, everything, all the aspects of being in a band, especially like an independent band at our sort of the level, is it's all trial and error. It's all trying and putting the effort and time in, and then it will hopefully pay off. Hopefully.
At at what point does metal capture your heart?
Oh, I don't know what it is. I've always been drawn to intense sounds musically, is the best way to
Yes.
put it. So, and anything that's like got that raw emotion. So I'm a big fan of those songs with like heavy screamy verses and then the big melodic choruses, and like big soaring vocals and lyrics that kind of like resonate with me about. I'm all about big hopeful songs that kind of sound sad, but then like, wait, it's going to get better and like light at the end of the tunnel. And so I guess I'm a bit of a stereotype, and I write a lot of songs like that myself too. Um, because I just love that feeling of that that intense sound you get and the feeling hopeful. And that's kind of how it resonates with me. I feel hopeful after listening to my favorite bands, my favorite songs.
Are we going to get that from Wait and See? That hopeful feeling. Tell me everything about that upcoming release because we're stoked.
Well, it came out yesterday, so
Yes,
you can actually go and listen to it now.
yesterday. Okay, go
Yeah.
back and go back. Got it.
That's okay, don't worry. So yeah, I hope so. I mean that, like I said, that song is literally all about that anxiety of waiting to see what the future brings and the excitement to wait and see what the future brings. I feel like as a band this year, we really have started to see some of the payoff of our hard work. But you know, we've got so much further to go and so much to do. But I think this year we've really started to go, oh, this, all this work we've been putting in, it's worth it. It's really nice to see all these people sing our lyrics and like our music.
Yeah.
So I think Wait and See was all about that idea of, oh my God, well now I've got to do it again and do it better, and that's so scary. But also the idea of, but what if something really cool happens? I've got to wait and see, and trying to view it as a positive and an exciting thing. And that's really what I wrote the lyrics about, because the chorus is kind of saying like, look, just take a second, breathe. You've got your people around you. And that's what it's really about. It's making those connections with people. As much as it's nice to see the Spotify numbers go up, I'm not gonna lie and be like, oh,
Yeah.
numbers don't matter. Of course they do. And of course
Right.
you look at it and you go, oh, that's a nice number. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes me the most happy, that I love the most, is being with my bandmates, my friends and family, being with fans at shows and like talking to them, and the community around metal and other bands too. And that is the real gem of it all. So that's kind of what the song's about. It's just, stay focused and hopefully wait and see what happens, and it could be good. And I'm hoping that that message can then resonate with other people, whatever's happening in their lives. I'm a big believer in whatever my lyrics are written about, once they're out in the world, they're up for interpretation. And whatever that person's going through in their life, if they can make a connection and relate to it and it helps them feel better, then that's absolutely great by me.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully it can be a little bit of a uplifting anthem. It's still got the heavy bits too, as always, but overall, I think it's a more positive Vanitas song, because we've released quite a lot of darker, moodier ones this year as well.
Yeah, it's a love letter to you as a band. It's a love letter to the fans saying we got this is
Yeah,
what I'm
totally.
hearing. That's
Yeah, I
that I
think so.
can't wait for that. What are we going to see from Vanitas in 2025?
Ooh, exciting times. So we are, now that we've released that single, we are going into hibernation writing mode now.
Yes.
We do maybe have a little surprise up our sleeve for Christmas. Probably not what you think it's going to be, but I won't say any more on that because I don't want to give spoilers. But aside from that, we're just writing, hiding away, so we can come back strong in 2025. We've got some cool gigs lined up, some that aren't announced yet. And we've obviously got way more tunes in the bag. So I guess that's all I can really say on that for now.
That's okay. We're going to look forward to all of it. Jade, thank you for your time. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm stoked.
Oh no, thank you so much for having me. It's been nice chatting and have a great weekend.